Alright folks, this is I think part 21 of the 59 Biscayne here. I'm on a different camera here, so hopefully it'll show up a little better. But I went ahead and I got a few things for this car here. We're going to do the floor pans kind of roadkill style temporarily, until eventually later on I can get the actual floor pans for it. But I got a piece of sheet metal I got to get more, of course, but this is supposed to be 18 gauge. And that's what it looks like it appears to be. But anyway, I got the back seat out of this car. It wasn't too terrible. So I got the back seat out and went ahead and now we're working on this front seat. And I trimmed a little bit of the rod out on this side, but it wasn't much left really. It wasn't much at all. But this car was so rotted out. The back seat area ain't terrible. The trunk is actually intact, surprisingly. But I'm trying to get this seat out of here without messing anything up, because I'm gonna have to reuse it. But it won't move back and forth or anything, so I don't want to force anything or mess anything up. So what I'm having to do is I got one bolt free. It's 8 bolts that's holding this front seat down. You got 2 on the back, 2 on the front, and then the same with the passenger side over there. We have 2 on the back and 2 on the front. And I mean, it's been a nightmare. I've been trying to get them things off, and so I just come with a whole different thing, going about it a little bit different now, rather than trying to fight and get them off. I even tried welding a nut to it and putting a wrench on it. There's one I welded, and it just broke right off. So I even took and kind of going a little different approach on it. So anyway, what we're going to do is I went underneath the car and I took and I shortened the bolts. That was the first thing I did. So I took this cutoff wheel right here and I shortened them. So I took this cutoff wheel, I shortened the bolts up underneath where they go through on this cross member. Now, I got that out of the way. We'll come up underneath there. Let's see. Okay. Now, let's see. Right in here, right along in here, I went ahead and we're going to start grinding these down. So we have 2 on this side. We'll focus. So you got 1 right here that goes through, and then you got 1 right here that goes through. That's for the back area of the seat. And then we come up here, and then you have the other 2 right in here. I went ahead and I cut these off and shortened them up. And then I'm going to grind these flush with these little square nuts here. And then that'll take care of that. Now this one right here over here, this one right here is free. I ground the head off. I was able to grind that off on the top. Now this one over here, I cannot, the way the angle is with the seat, I can't do it any other way. But with these 3 right here, we're going to have to take in, as much as I don't want to do it, we'll grind these 3 flush, and I'm going to take a drill bit and just drill right straight through it there. And then hopefully that'll get them 3 freed. So we got, this one right here is already free. But now we got to get these 3 right here. And I'm trying to do this as best I can without really messing anything up. So now, it's just got to work with it a little bit at a time. But yeah, I tried to weld a nut on there and that didn't work, as you can see. But I got 1 right here. I mean, they're just so rusted that it ain't funny. And there's another one on the other side. But I mean, you ain't got no way to really get a grinder or anything up in there to grind the head of the bolt off and get the seat out. Because once you get the seat out, I can go in there and I can take a nut. I got plenty of workspace then. And I can just take a nut and just sit it on there, weld it on, and just pull that stud right on through. And then just run a tab through it and be able to reuse them bolt holes. So I really don't want to drill it if I can help it. But anyway, that's what I'm working on now. I'm trying like heck to get this seat out of this car. I got the back seat out. There wasn't no back seats are always really not that big a deal to get out of these cars. But you just gotta bend them tabs a little bit. You gotta be careful, don't bend them too much, but bend them a little bit. You got 1 there on the wheel housing, then you got 1 right there. The same with the other side, buried underneath the mouse nest and everything else. And there's another one over there. And then you got the little hooks on top where you just lift the back seat up. Take the bottom out first, then you take the top off, and it'll come right on out. But anyway, I went and bought a 140 Lincoln MIG welder here, and I still gotta get the gas yet for it. But yeah, I went up to Lowe's and bought that thing. So right now I'm running the old flux core through it, which is, in my opinion, is kind of a joke. But it works sometimes. But I gotta get some gas for it here soon so I can use it for real. But anyway, yeah, I started trimming this floor out a little bit, trying to clean it up here. But the transmission tunnel is okay. It's solid. It's just surface rust. And looked like it had a green primer on here. It looked like. But anyway, this cross member is still good. It looks worse when it is. It might have just a tiny bit of rot in this corner right here. But most cross members, actually, believe it or not, on this car are actually solid. Now the trunk, might be a little different story. But for the most part, most of the rot is just the floor pans up in here. But I'm gonna take some of that sheet metal, and I'm gonna trim all this rot out, because you gotta get all the rot out. And then once we get all that cleaned up a little bit better, we get this darn seat out of here, I can really see what I'm doing. Then I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna clean this up a lot better than what it is right now. I just try to get this seat out so I can work on this thing. But it's kind of what's holding me up. But yeah, I got the one bolt head ground off right there. You can see it there. I got one ground off right there. So that was ground off. So that part's good. Yeah, I'm trying to get her cleaned up there. But I'm going to take some of that sheet metal. I'm going to take a template here. Come on, focus. There we go. That's a little better. So I'm going to take a template, and I'm going to take some paper here, and I'm going to cut this out. And then the paper, that is. And then I'm going to lay it on the sheet metal and just cut my pattern out. And I'll cut a little bit, just a shade bigger than what I need. So I got a little, wiggle room there. And then I'll make a couple bends on it. And then we'll lay it on in here. But I'll have to put probably 4 relief cuts in it. But that's my plan. And then I can't really I want to run some kind of seam through it to strengthen it up. But I mean, you can buy the reproduction floor pans for this car, but I just do not have the money right now. So I'm gonna take it. I'm trying to do it as best as I can. And eventually I'm gonna put the floors in this car, because it needs floors. It really does. But I just don't have the money right now. Money's tight. We're gonna make do what we got. And I was gonna use that hood back there and cut some. That old hood laying back there. I was gonna cut some sheet metal out of that and use that. Keep a little Chevrolet back in here, catch my drift. But that didn't work out, because that hood was a little too rotted than what I thought it was. But so we'll draw our pattern out. We'll set our paper there. We'll draw our pattern out there, and then we're just gonna lap weld it in there. We'll lap weld / plug weld it in there. I'll punch some holes and go all the way around the edges there, and just lay it in there and weld her on up. And we'll just do that with the whole floor on this car, with each section. But the transmission tunnel looks like it's okay. I think it's survived. So hopefully it's not too awful bad. But this side's actually not as bad. So we'll have to measure our depth on how far this floor comes down. But yeah, she's rough. But this brace is kind of, this brace is pretty rough here.